former head coach Eric Mangini is here. Coach, do you realize how often we make reference to or talk about you when you're not here? Do the ears burn? Do you go back? Obviously, you watch all 3 hours of the show every single day that you're not on the show.
I study the show when I'm not here.
You study it. I know.
What are you pointing at, Steve?
Me.
I appreciate it.
My friend right here, Coach Mangini, pointed out. Yeah, I keep giving him credit.
It's good looking out.
Oh, dude over here is a thief.
Oh, that's not accurate.
I listened to his radio show, Coach Mangini. My goodness, you would be surprised at the what do they call it?
The word you're looking for is plagiarism, but that's a lie. I do not plagiarize anyone.
No, I wasn't looking for plagiarism. You wouldn't, Coach.
Right.
Coach, I want you to surprise. Listen to Nick Wright on Sirius Radio. It's not plagiarism. Watch the lies that he's saying. It's his take and it's our stuff.
That's what
Plagiarism.
It's not plagiarism.
It's lying.
It's not plagiarism.
It's just taking someone else's information.
No, it's different when it's words. Plagiarism when you write it down.
No, you're thinking of
that's when that's what they got you at Syracuse.
He's not talking libel and slander. Thursday night football.
That's what you got kicked out of broadcasting school.
Arguably,
you had to make that donation.
You're the one that got kicked out of school.
All right.
Take that.
It was for being good.
Thursday night, here we go. The Chargers heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The veteran Phillip Rivers looking to take down the young gun Pat Mahomes to keep the Chargers' hopes alive for the 1 seed. But they will likely have to do that without their top 2 running backs, Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. All right, Coach. Nick needs more ideas to steal for his radio show. How do the Chargers beat the Chiefs?
They should have kicked you out, and then the world would have been saved from you.
We love Nick. We need more Nick in our lives, not less.
Look, one of the things I've liked that people have done against Patrick Mahomes, and I know Nick and I disagree on this, but it's bringing the pressure. And I think the ability to bring pressure, but also bring it predominantly from his right side. So if you're going to lose contain, make sure that he's going to his left. But that consistent pressure, ideally pressure that keeps him within the pocket, that forces him to make even quicker decisions, not be able to extend plays. And then if you're going to play coverage, play split safety coverage, give up the run, and then passing plays, and double their 2 key guys, and hit Kelsey every time you can at the line of scrimmage. To me, that would be the approach. Force them to beat you running the ball, or at least slow down the game where they have to run the ball.
So you and I were talking off the air about Pat Mahomes under pressure, and the point that I was making then and I'll make now is every quarterback is markedly worse when under pressure than not under pressure. So Mahomes this year is a 67 passer rating when pressured. That sounds awful. It's 18th in the NFL, so it's just below league average. He also has the 2nd most pass yards in the NFL when pressured, and the 5th most touchdown passes in the NFL when pressured. He still has the ability to make big plays. The problem is he's got 7 of his 11 interceptions that he's thrown all year have been when he's been pressured. So if you're going to get him to make a mistake, and that doesn't incorporate the strip sacks that I know we've talked about before. He is much more prone to make a mistake when pressured, but what those numbers also show you is if you bring the pressure and you don't get to him, you are leaving yourself susceptible to a big play down the field, as he's repeatedly done.
Right, but we know that if you just play coverage, he's gotten a ton of big plays down the field. At least by bringing the pressure, you're forcing the issue, and you've got the opportunity to create some turnovers. Now, you mix that in, ideally, with some disguise, so it looks like pressure, and you play coverage, and then double the 2 key guys, and make sure that every time Kelsey releases, someone's hitting him. No clean releases. Hit him, hit him, hit him.
Greatest show on turf, and in that game, we had never seen wide receivers, tight ends, running backs get jammed at the line of scrimmage the way that New England did in that game. I'm going to double that, because not only Kelsey, because we have one of them old-fashioned matchups. Kelsey, I believe, best tight end in pro football. And Derwin James, man, he is going to be a star in this league for a long time. The rookie safety from Florida State that is leading that Chargers defense with that pass rush. Also, Tyreek Hill, he's got a foot problem. Now, he's a small guy, and he wears these little soccer cleats. And Kansas City, that surface is not the best surface. Might be rain on Thursday night. So anytime you have a small guy, because he's not going to wear the wider bottom cleats because they're heavier, and most little guys, they say that they don't like to play football in those cleats. So I want to watch him and watch his foot problem, but I'm going to jam him at the line of scrimmage. And if I'm able to do that, I don't think he's going to be able to make it through that game. Late in that game, Baltimore, they should have been jamming him at the line of scrimmage. When he was hobbling around, he hobbled around to be able to make that last play, to be able to get him in and ultimately get that touchdown to be able to tie up the game. So I have to be physical if I'm the Chargers. And Philip Rivers, I'm putting this game in his hands. I might throw the ball 50 times. All right? He is a modern-day John Wayne, doesn't get the credit, but I believe he could dice up the secondary of the Chiefs. I believe that's the way for them to be able to win this football game.
Yeah, and with Philip Rivers, the key thing for him is not to press it too much, not to make that key error, that key interception. He is fantastic, and he's been fantastic against Kansas City. And in the first game of the season, he had an unbelievable, was a fourth quarter. I think the numbers were pretty staggering. But just make sure that from his perspective, just by doing what he's done throughout the course of the season, that's going to be good enough. Don't press something. Don't force something.
And I expect, especially without the running game, I expect to throw a lot of short passes. But that's my number one way to try to be able to keep that Kansas City offense off the field is by putting the ball in their best players' hands.
You mentioned this earlier, but tell me why this time of year weather is such a factor. If you take the rain out of it, just the cold, how weather really fares into this.
Every football team I've ever been on, the coaches train us that you're going to have some bad weather. And inclement weather, that football, when it gets below freezing, Wilson, they make the best football in the world. But the surface of the ball changes. The ball becomes with a little gloss over it. It's hard to handle. You can't throw it as well. And, man, people are injured at the end of the season. It's hard to have continuity. People, they have a recipe for your best stuff. They know what you're great at, so they take that away from you. But football was meant to be played in the elements, and we have seen, yes, NFL highest scoring September, October ever. But since November, we have seen the best offenses. Let's go even with the Saints in perfect conditions in Dallas, struggle. Rams, Sunday night, struggle. Kansas City last week, 17 points with 2 minutes to go. So I thought there would be a correction. Man, football is hard to play, and it's harder to play when it's cold. It's harder to play offensive football.
And one of the things about the best teams and the best players is they learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's a hard thing to do, whether it's cold or playing through injuries or any of those different situations.
But isn't that
the great ones have a way to push through that?
Isn't that why that Baltimore game was so impressive? Your number one running back's been cut. Your number two running back is knocked out of the game. Maybe your best offensive lineman, Cameron Irving, he's out of the game. Sammy Watkins didn't play. Tyreek Hill is, like you said, limping around. They are playing the number one defense in football. Mahomes is struggling mightily in the third and into the fourth quarter, and they still found a way to win.
Their defense won that game. That was impressive.
Their defense won that game?
How'd they get the ball back?
Yeah, but they didn't even score when they got the ball back. Like you're talking about the strip sack after they had tied it up. I didn't feel like the defense won the game because they
say, man, they was going to only give up 20-something points.
But when you know you're playing a team that's never going to pass, as we talked,
they're 30th in defense, right? Yeah,
overall, absolutely. No. But I didn't think. I don't think
their offense didn't keep them in the game.
Okay,
I mean, you said Patty Mahomes was playing awful. So what kept him in the game?
Okay, so they scored 17 points in the first half, and then they didn't score at all until the end of the game. I don't think holding the Ravens to 24
That was the most surprising thing about me. Their defense held up. Their defense made enough plays for them. That's how to me they were able to get through that game.
Okay. All right, that's not that. I thought the defense played fine. I don't think holding the Ravens to 24 is a great accomplishment. I think they're going to run on you with Lamar Jackson. They ran successfully. They weren't able to make enough big plays. One last note on this. The Chiefs have owned their division pre-Pat Mahomes, unlike any team in the NFL. Last 21 divisional games, they are 20-1. That